These are the Soundpeats Engine 4, and they are perfection with an exception. Now, these headphones are absolutely incredible if you can accept some of the compromises that go with them. Now, I'm going to leave chapters for you guys to skip around, and I'm going to have links so you guys can pick these up, and that'll all be in the description for you guys. Now, as always, let's start off with my overall ranking of these headphones. They're S tier. You can check out an explanation of what S tier headphones are and look at other S tier, A tier, or B tier headphones. I don't have a link for that on my website, but essentially these headphones have a premium feature and they really deliver on it. We're going to go into what that premium feature is right now, starting with the specs. First of all, these have a 10mm woofer for the bass, and they have a 6mm tweeter for handling the treble frequencies. And they are specifically coaxial drivers. One for the lows and for the mid-range, one for the high end. That way they can perform better. Now, the drivers split these frequencies up instead of using one driver to reproduce everything. And that's kind of what their claim to fame, what I would call their piece de resistance, the premium feature of these headphones would be. The fact that they're dual coaxial driven headphones, along with the 12.5 hours of battery life or the 43 hours of full playtime, including the case. That is over LDAC. They also support multi-point connectivity. They have a gaming mode with 70 milliseconds response time if you're watching video and stuff like that. Bluetooth 5.3 to go along with that multi-point, which is kind of a first that we have from Soundpeats. And their IPX4 sweat and water resistance, meaning no issues using them at the gym. And they have this really cool personalized EQ. And this EQ offers you the ability to do a customized EQ based on your hearing ability. So if you have hearing damage, it tries to get you the best and the most accurate kind of EQ for your listening capabilities at the given moment. We do have an app, and that app is necessary for these headphones and kind of just in general, and we'll touch on that towards the end of this video. And then the last spec, USB-C charging, no fast charging, and it'll take you around 2 hours to charge. Now, specs out of the way, let's talk about the build and design of these headphones. First, picking them up in hand, they're slightly bloated. They just feel like the Soundpeats Mini Pro headphones that I reviewed, link to that up here, but just with a bigger kind of plasticier, shiny case. But it is a smart case, and it does have a really kind of nice, satisfying lid action when we open up. We have a button on the bottom, and we have one little indicator in the case itself. The button is for repairing the headphones if they become unpaired. The indicator light is supposed to give you a vague idea of how much battery life you have left in the case, but that's about it. The inside plastic is like this darker or like matte finish plastic, and the outside of this is like this very glossy, reflective, kind of metallic looking. Taking the headphones out of the case, we kind of just have a very classic, true wireless earbud design that fits inside your ear. It's slightly bloated in the horizontal axis, so when you stick them in your ear, they kind of stick further out from your ear. By the little nozzle that goes in your ear, there's a nice little clear window where you can see the dual drivers, which is really, really cool. That might yellow over time, but you get 3 different sets of ear tips in the box, including the ones on them, so 4 in total. They have a bit of a stethoscopic effect, and there's no kind of ear relief, which is something that I've really grown to like in headphones like my Pixel Buds Pro. But that said, really unassuming design, nice texture on the outside to break up the control surface from the non-control surface, but they definitely do stick out from your head a bit. If you wear a beanie hat, a hijab, a turban, you definitely wouldn't want to wear these under a helmet. Laying on your side is going to be relatively uncomfortable. And because of that kind of design choice, if you are a small-eared person, like my wife, they will kind of fit comically in your ear. They just look odd because they are so large. But I don't know if their size can necessarily get in the way for the gym, but they definitely just do feel pretty large, just in general. Okay, next up, let's go for a bit of a mic test. Now you're hearing me on the SoundPeats Engine 4. Pretty quiet environment here, not many cars. Tell me how I sound. Now you're hearing me on the SoundPeats Engine 4. Some simulated background noise like what you might experience at a busy cafe. Comment below with how I sound. Overall, the mic on these, pretty good. I would say totally usable in most quiet environments. Getting into noisier environments is usually where we see the kind of upper echelon of headphones with better multi-mic arrays or headphones that have a stem kind of pulling out ahead. I think that for the price that these come in at, which is right around the $55, $60 mark, depending upon if you get a sale on it, I think that these headphones totally fine. Next up, I want to give you guys a latency test showing you guys gaming mode and non-gaming mode with video playback latency, and let's go.
Really stuttery, inconsistent playback with the headphone, and thus, if you have more than one Bluetooth device connected to...
Again, 70 milliseconds response time, not going to be like ideal for gaming, definitely not for first-person shooters. I really have yet to have a pair of headphones that do like zero latency. And if you are a gamer, you're definitely still going to want to use wired headphones. Now I want to talk about the sound signature. These headphones are the best sounding SoundPeats headphones I've ever used. It's not even close. They definitely do sound better than the SoundPeats Mini Pro, the SoundPeats Air 3 Deluxe, the SoundPeats Air 3 Deluxe HS, and they are really good. Now, on the factory tuning, before you do the custom EQ, before you load any other tweaks or anything like that, they have a very balanced, restrained sound. You definitely lose a little bit of the soundstage and it doesn't quite feel as big simply because you don't have any of that relief cut out in the headphones. So it feels more kind of like a smaller club type of feel. Bass is thumpy, but it's not overbearing. It's really well controlled. There's a lot of definition. And overall, I would say that if you're okay with the slightly smaller soundstage and you're okay with headphones giving you the plugged ear effect, also known as the stethoscopic effect, you are going to enjoy these headphones. When listening to these headphones after I did that custom adaptive EQ thing, this is really where they shined. I've had brain damage. I've had hearing damage. I know I'm more deaf in one ear than another ear. And even with all of that, I really tried to make these headphones stumble. What I mean by that is I tried a huge variety of different genres of music, trying to get them to sound anything short of great. I threw Led Zeppelin on them. I was listening to some old like B.B. King, Eric Clapton, jazz. I was listening to electronic music. I was listening to modern hip hop. I was listening to some classic hip hop. I was listening to podcasts with them. I was just watching kind of like regular YouTube videos with them. And no matter what I threw at them, they sounded fantastic. And I have never experienced a fall off, or I've never experienced a dip in performance when using these for a specific genre of music. They just sound like they can do everything really well. That's going to get the sound portion of this out of the way. Now I got to talk to you guys about some of the negatives and what some of my first initial impressions of these headphones were. I mentioned before that you're going to need to use the app. That said, when I got these headphones, they were when they had just released and they had, I guess, firmware version 1.0. I had an absolutely horrible user experience using these. I could only get a stable connection with my Galaxy Tab S8 Plus. My Google Pixel didn't give me a very stable connection over LDAC. My Pixel 7a didn't get me a very stable connection over LDAC, or my My wife's Pixel 6a didn't get me a very stable connection over LDAC. That was at just kind of the base settings. Range was really hit or miss. And the moment I tried to turn up the overall sound quality in developer settings with these headphones, it was just constant dropouts. And when I took these headphones out to the gym for kind of like my experience of working out with them at the gym, the amount of interference was so bad that headphones were unusable. And then looking through some of Soundpeat's marketing material, they even mentioned that in high Wi-Fi traffic areas, you might notice performance drop-offs. After the update, it fixed most of these issues. Now I gotta get to the caveat. If you're using LDAC, you're wanting to get the highest bitrate possible. There's no way to default that in Android. You have to go into developer settings. You have to enable that. You have to know how to enable that. And if you guys want me to give you guys a tutorial about how to do that, I'd be happy to comment down below. It's just something I kind of assume most people on LDAC know and want. I have always kind of come back to this user experience that just isn't ideal when using LDAC. And it makes it a little bit difficult for me to kind of recommend them to the average consumer. Audiophiles all day, every day, twice on Sunday. And if you're curious about this whole audio codec situation and what audio codecs matter or don't matter, I did a dedicated video about that, and I'll have a link to it for you guys up here. But essentially, LDAC is kind of the gold standard when it comes to audio codecs, if you're willing to kind of dive into that. If you have an iPhone, none of this matters because these will default to AAC. Likewise, if you're using the multi-point connectivity option on these headphones, they'll also default to AAC. I think that that is a completely fine trade-off, and I think that using AAC for these in most circumstances is fine because I think that these headphones really are aimed at audiophiles. They're definitely not aimed at people wanting to use them in the gym because they're a little bit big and they don't feel really like workout headphones. I don't know if I would necessarily say that these are for the average consumer because you can get the Mini Pro, which have pretty good active noise cancellation for right around the same price. And those have aptX, which in general is a little bit better. I would say that these headphones are made for the person that wants to get the best overall sound quality at the cheapest price, and they want a product that is made well, allows for a certain amount of customization, and has fantastic battery life. If that's what you want, these headphones are perfect. And that brings us kind of back to the idea that these headphones are perfection, but with an exception. And in one phrase, I would define them as perfection with an exception in the description for this video. But let's get this out of the way. These headphones